The first time Eliza stepped into the workshop, the scent of cedar wood and fresh varnish wrapped around her like a promise. It stood at the end of a narrow cobbled lane in the little town of Briarwood, the windows fogged with age and dust. Yet inside, she glimpsed the faint glow of lantern light and saw a figure bent over a workbench. His name was Magnus Ainsworth, the Dollmaker. The townsfolk whispered about him in hushed voices. Some said his creations were too lifelike. Others said they carried secrets in their smiling eyes. Eliza had traveled to Briarwood because she needed something unusual. A doll, yes, but not just any doll. Her younger sister Clara lay in a coma, the doctors helpless. Eliza believed in miracles, or at least in hope. She had heard that Magnus crafted dolls that brought comfort, or so people claimed. It sounded like superstition, yet she found herself standing at his threshold one gray afternoon. Magnus looked up. He was tall and slender, features sharp as carved bone, with grizzled hair and pale skin. His eyes were curious, assessing. "May I help you?" he asked in a low voice. Eliza swallowed. "I heard you make special dolls." She didn't add for miracles, though that was what she hoped for. Magnus inclined his head. "I make dolls," he said. "Some are for display, some for children, some for sorrow." He paused, then, "What do you require?" Eliza explained Clara, and how she wanted something that might awaken her. Magnus didn't flinch. He simply said, "Very well. I have one design that might suit your hope, but it comes with conditions." He turned and showed her a doll. About 2 feet tall, exquisitely carved, with glassy blue eyes, delicate hands, dressed in pale pink silk. The doll's hair was fine strands of pale gold. Eliza looked into the doll's eyes and felt a strange flutter in her chest. "What are the conditions?" she asked. Magnus' gaze softened. "You must feed it nightly. Not food, but attention. You must speak to it. Or rather, you must allow the unseen to speak through it. And you must never leave the doll's side when the moon is full. Otherwise," he stopped. "Otherwise the secret may exact a price." Eliza hesitated, yet she nodded. Anything was worth trying. Magnus carved her name into the base of the doll's feet. Clara's Mirror. For Eliza by Magnus Ainsworth, October 19th, 2025. He handed it to her with gloves. She took the doll home and placed it gently beside Clara's bed. The room was quiet. Moonlight slanted through the window. That night, she sat beside the doll and told it everything. About Clara's laughter, her favorite songs, how she'd once chased fireflies in the garden. Eliza wasn't sure if the doll heard her, but the act of speaking made her feel less alone. Weeks passed. Clara lay motionless, but the doll sat there, its blue eyes reflecting candlelight. Eliza spoke to it each night, sometimes reading old stories to it, sometimes crying out in frustration. And every morning she woke, went to Clara's bedside, and touched her hand, hoping for a sign. One night, a soft whisper drifted through the stillness. "Sister." Eliza froze. She looked at the doll. The moon was full, its pale face shining in the window. The doll's lips were slightly parted, and the blue eyes seemed wet. Eliza's heart raced. "Clara," she whispered. The doll did not speak again. The whisper felt like Clara's voice, yearning. The following days brought subtle change. Clara's fingers twitched. At first, a faint movement, just one finger curling. Eliza sat beside her bed, breath held. Then, she touched the finger. It moved again. Eliza's tears fell freely. She called a nurse. Clara's vitals improved. Shards of color returned to her cheeks. The doctors were astonished. Eliza told them nothing of the doll. It remained her secret, her pact. Night after night, she spoke to the doll. The whisper returned, growing clearer. "I remember," it said one midnight. The voice was thin, like wind through leaves. Eliza looked at the doll, its expression unchanged, serene. She asked, "Who are you?" The doll's voice answered, "I was him. The maker kept me too long." Eliza shivered. She did not understand. The next full moon approached. Magnus had warned, never leave the doll's side. Eliza prepared. She sat beside Clara's bed, the doll between them. Hour by hour the moon rose, casting pale light. At midnight, the doll's eyes glowed faintly. The whisper became a soft voice, "Free me." Eliza drew a shaky breath. "How?" she asked. "Bring him here," the voice said. "Bring the maker." Eliza's mind raced. Should she? Did she dare? She wrote to Magnus. She must see him. He replied, Tomorrow at midnight. Come to the workshop. Bring the doll. Bring no one else." She hesitated, but decided she must know the truth. Clara woke slightly the next morning, a smile flickering. The doctors were amazed again. Eliza arranged things, called in a friend to stay with Clara, then slipped out at twilight, carrying the doll. The workshop at night looked different. The lanterns glowed golden, shadows dancing on carved wooden figures lining the walls. Children dolls, princess dolls, dolls dressed in silks, wood polished smooth. Magnus greeted her. "You brought it." He looked at the doll, solemnly. "Now you must decide. You want a cure, but you also must deliver the maker's secret." Eliza's heart pounded. "What secret?" she asked. Magnus reached behind a cabinet and pulled out a small cupboard door. He opened it to reveal a single shelf, a half-carved wooden figure, lifeless, shrouded in a cloth. "This was his doll," Magnus said softly. "My first creation. I made it too lifelike. I gave it a spirit, as you gave life to Clara's mirror." He pulled off the cloth. The figure's features resembled a small boy's face, haunted, hollow. "The spirit I gave this doll belonged to a child who died here in Briarwood many years ago. In my grief, I crafted the doll and engineered a bond. The child's spirit entered the doll, but I could not bind it forever. The spirit grows restless, so I made you the next keeper." Eliza gasped. "That's why the voice sounded like Clara," she whispered. Magnus nodded. "Because the spirit yearned for life. When you spoke to the doll, you awakened the bound spirit. It heard you." He looked at Clara's mirror. "It must return to me on the next full moon. Its time ends then, or else the price will be more than you bargained." Eliza fell silent. Fear and hope warred inside her. She thought of Clara, waking, healing. Could she give up the doll? Could she bear the consequence? "What is the price?" she asked at last. Magnus said, "If the spirit remains past the time, your sister may awaken, but she will not be herself. The bond will shift. The spirit will claim the place. You will lose Clara." Eliza's throat closed. She looked at Clara's mirror. Its blue eyes glowed faintly in the lamplight. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I don't know what to do." Magnus placed a hand on her shoulder. "You must decide before the next full moon. Until then, the doll stays with your sister. I will return to collect it then." He gave her a small carved box. "This holds the key. Use it when the time comes." Eliza carried the doll back to Clara's bedside. The next days were surreal. Clara's health improved remarkably. The doctors declared she would soon wake. Eliza watched over her day and night, the doll by the bed, listening for the voice. It came once more. "Thank you." It sounded like Clara's voice. "Thank you for believing." The next full moon rose, high and pale in the sky. Eliza sat beside Clara, the doll between them, the key box on the bed. At midnight, the doll's eyes glowed. The voice spoke, "It's time." Eliza picked at the box. The top slid open to reveal a carved wooden key. She inserted it into a small slot on the doll's back. The doll's limbs loosened. The wood grain shifted and the doll split open at the seam, revealing a soft glow and a beating heart of light. The voice, his voice now, echoed around the room. "I am free." A gust of wind blew out the candle. The lantern light flickered. Clara's eyes opened. Eliza rushed to her side. "Clara. Clara." She held her sister's hand. It was warm. Clara blinked. "Eliza," she said softly. "What happened?" Eliza burst into tears and laughter. But then her joy faltered. The doll between them had collapsed into dust, the wood falling piece by piece, and where it sat now was only a faint shimmer. Clara turned her head and looked at the space. "What was that?" she asked. Eliza hugged her. "It's over," she whispered. The morning light crept in. Magnus arrived at the door as promised. Eliza welcomed him in, Clara now seated upright in bed. Magnus looked at Clara, then at the dust of the doll scattered like ashes. He bowed slightly. "It is done. The spirit is gone. The promise kept." He paused then, "But you must understand, miracles always demand a cost. You believed, and you paid." Eliza nodded, tears in her eyes. "What cost?" she asked. Magnus looked at the remains. "You lost the doll, the spirit. You lost the hope that it would remain with her. You gained her life, but you cannot keep what you borrowed from death." He turned and collected the box, and then left quietly. In the days that followed, Clara regained her strength. Her laughter returned. The doctors were amazed. Eliza told them only that Clara was well again, and left out the secret. Eliza kept the carved box in a locked drawer. She never opened it again. Sometimes at night, she thought she heard a whisper, faint and gentle, "Thank you." But she would not speak to the empty drawer. Years passed. Eliza and Clara grew, laughed, lived. But one autumn evening, when the leaves were turning brittle gold, Eliza found in her attic a small piece of wood, smooth, pale, just like the hair of the doll. She held it, heart pounding. Was it a remnant? Or a whisper of the past? She placed it in the box and locked the drawer again. And for all her joy at Clara's life, she never forgot that secret. The secret of the dollmaker's shop, the spirit bound, the price paid. And sometimes, when the wind was still and the moon full, she would sit by the window and whisper into the darkness, "Thank you." And in the stillness, she believed she heard the echo of a voice, a child's voice, far away and free.